Good news for all the Soulfists out there. We finally got a buff. The Korean server finally released their balance patch, and as you can see right here, Soulfist is getting a 7% increase in damage of all skills. Now, what does this mean? I know a lot of you are probably disappointed because you were looking forward to just being able to spam away skills and not having to worry about your self buffs anymore. But as you can, if you scroll down here and look at the developer comments, they right here it says, however, it seems that this direction was different from the concept of the class that users have been playing for a long time. Basically, what they're trying to say is they don't want to ruin the class for all the people who have been playing Soulfist for a long time. Now, I know I've only been playing Soulfist for a couple of months, but I personally have really enjoyed the playstyle of self-buffing, and then, there's a lot of strategy involved, and to me it makes the class fun. And taking away those buffs, I was honestly starting to look at other classes to play because it just isn't as it's really satisfying to be able to pull off the buffs and do those big numbers, and it just feels a lot better. So I'm glad they're going back with the original idea of Soulfist and letting them keep their self buffs. Now, what does this actually mean for the two different builds, Robust and Energy Overflow, and how much damage does it give each one? Well, luckily for us Energy Overflow users, it's actually a much larger buff for us. And let me show you the math and explain to you why. So, we're going to just make up some numbers here and say Energy Overflow, 90% of your total damage comes from skills. And then Robust Spirit, since a lot of your damage is actually front loaded into Spirit Bomb, we'll say 50% of your total damage comes from skills. Now, how do we math this out? It's quite simple actually. What you do is you take 90% and you multiply it by the 7% increase, and that will actually equal about 6.3% increase in damage. Now for Robust, same thing. Since only half of your damage is getting that 7% increase, your increase in damage is only 3.5%. Now if you remember, they were giving us a 3% increase on Energy Overflow, but they took that away, and now you can see why. It's because we're actually getting a larger buff than Robust users from this simple increase in damage. Now that we know Soulfist is only going to get better from here, let's talk about a couple tips and tricks that I can share with you to hopefully help improve your damage output. I already made a video about the kind of build I run. This will be more about playstyle and how I use my abilities to their full potential. First up, matching cooldowns. You've probably heard about people saying to always use Merciless Pummel with Energy Release. I like to take it one step further and match a set of cooldowns so they are always up at the same time. So how do I do this? Well, you need a little bit of luck, of course, and really just some proper planning. So, you might be wondering, Merciless Pummel has a 20-second cooldown and Energy Release has a 30-second cooldown. How do I match them? It's quite simple actually. Quick prep right here. This is the luck I was talking about. I managed to get a level 3 tripod, which gives me a -5-second cooldown. Merciless Pummel on double up, it gives you a +5-second cooldown. What does that mean? Merciless Pummel has a 25-second cooldown, as does Energy Release. I know a lot of you like to take Fighting Spirit enhancement on Energy Release, but I mean you might as well just get it on Bolting Crash or Pulverizing Palm. Now, what do I mean by taking it one step further though? As you can see, my Energy Release and Pummel both have pretty much the same cooldown. But what I've actually done is not only do those two have the same cooldown, but my 3 set of skills, Tempest Blast and Heavenly Squash, they're all about the same cooldown as you can see. And not only that, but what I pair with my Flash Step is my Shadow Breaker and my Force Orb. So I have 2 sets of cooldowns that I pretty much always try to use together. And as you can see, when they're all up together, you don't really have to wait for one skill to come up. You can just freely use them just like that. Tip number 2, adrenaline stacks. Never let these drop. Whenever you let your stacks drop, not only are you losing some attack power, you are losing 15% crit chance. That is huge. Even when bosses are doing mechanics and you aren't really attacking, you should still throw out a skill, preferably Bolting Crash or slowly chain your flash steps together to keep your adrenaline going. Watch as even as I am avoiding the pizza mechanic on Argos, I am still weaving in skills slowly to not drop adrenaline. Even here, during a phase change where Argos takes decreased damage, I only use a Bolting Crash to keep adrenaline going, so I'm ready as soon as the phase change is over. Last tip I have for today, utilizing your movement skill. Now, what is your movement skill? It's your spacebar. A lot of people seem to only want to use it as a dodge roll, but in reality, it's called a movement skill, not a dodge roll. Most mechanics in this game you can easily walk out of, and since we have high swiftness, it's even easier for us to walk out of mechanics. This means we can use our spacebar offensively. I'm sure you guys have all had bosses move away as soon as you use your energy release, and what is your first reaction? You might be using Flash Step to close the gap, and so you don't waste your energy release. Well, now you're wasting your Flash Step burst window. Instead, consider using Spacebar to close the gap. On certain bosses, to prevent energy release from being cancelled, because, some bosses love to spin attack, I'll even use energy release at a distance and then use my spacebar to jump in and attack. Thank you everyone for the feedback and kind words so far. I'm very happy to hear that some of you out there have worked hard and practiced using the self buffs properly and have even started consistently getting MVPs. If you have any additional questions, I answer as much as I can in either the comments below or on my Twitch where I periodically stream.